Hi everyone, welcome to Wednesday Maths. As usual, we're going to start by having a look at yesterday's activity. Okay, now yesterday was very open. Okay, because you're all very different, you do different things during the day and you think of different things. And you also take different amounts of time to do things. Okay, so there was definitely a lot more than one answer and one way to do yesterday's activity. I just wanted to highlight one way that it could be set out. This is not the only way, this is just one way. Okay, and I thought this person had some pretty cool ideas. Okay, so it was really easy to see: 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 1 year. Okay, and just really simply set out. This person has obviously did some of these things to try it out. You could tell because they obviously drew that many dots to see that it would take a minute to do that. They obviously attached 13 paper clips. Okay, I hope we're not always sharpening our pencil for a minute. Okay, but all of these ideas made great sense. So well done, this person. Hopefully you set yours out something like this, and you might see that there was some different ideas between the lot of you. Okay, with the previous activity based on 1 minute, there were lots of great ideas and examples of how they could be done. And it was the same with the dog walking problem. There were lots of great ways of showing your thinking and showing how you worked it out. Okay, I'm going to highlight just a couple, and they're by no means the only ones that were right. Okay, there's had a couple of cool ways of setting it out that I thought I would highlight for everyone to give you some ideas of if you didn't do it this way, if you did it another way, it doesn't mean you did it the wrong way. Okay, it just means you did it another way. Okay, and you might see from these two people that they might have done it a more efficient way. So that's what we want you to learn from. Okay, and hopefully, if you didn't quite get the right answer, then you might see a slightly different way of doing it. Okay, I'm going to start over on the right hand side, because even though they made a really simple mistake, they had it set out really well. So you could see each of the days over here. You could see that they worked out each of the times from the clues. They worked out each of the times that the dog was walked every day from Monday to Saturday. And you could see a great way of keeping track of their running total of minutes. Okay, so you can just see a tiny mistake here, which you can see you'd be able to see where whenever you're doing an activity like this where you have to keep a running total, it's so important to be really precise in your calculations, because if you if you get one thing even the slightest bit wrong, it puts out everything. Okay, so really important to do like we do in reading. We self-monitor and we self-correct and we check that everything we're doing is right, looks right, sounds right, and makes sense. Really important to do that with a maths activity as well. Okay, so this just shows where one small thing can put the rest of your problem out. Okay, so 155 plus, so it was 155 plus 50, okay, which actually equals 205. Okay, so that's put this person's answer out by just a little bit, but just enough to be not quite right. Okay, but it was really, the way it was laid out, it was really easy for me to see that the answer to A was this, and the answer to B was this. These arrows, perfect way for me to be able to keep track of your thinking. Okay, so I wanted to highlight that even though this person made a mistake, it was only one mistake out of a lot of good work. Okay, and really easy to see that this is how they kept track of A, and this was how they kept track of B. This was a really important part, realising that 6 hours, okay, was 6 lots of 60, which means it was 360 minutes. Okay, so this person, even though they didn't get the answer right, they get a big tick for the really clear, 3 big ticks for the really clear way they showed their thinking. Okay, so great job by this person. Over to the left-hand side, and this person here has done something really similar. Okay, they've shown a great little table here of keeping track of the days. They worked out the times that the dog was walked on each day. And I love the little arrows, okay, pointing to that running total as it's being added up, okay, to show that as you go along. Okay, it's a great way to keep track of your thinking. Both people did this really well, okay, by using that running total to keep track of how many minutes at the end of each day. Really clear here to see what this person thought the answer was. And I love the way that they converted the minutes here to hours by a simple little table, okay? 60 minutes is 1 hour, 120 minutes is 2 hours. The only piece of feedback I could give here to work on is that this person could have skipped step number 3 and just done some doubling. But it was a great way for that person to be precise and make sure that they had what they were doing right. So this person didn't do anything wrong by including this. This would be just feedback to be more efficient next time. Okay, so once they got to 240, they realised that there wasn't another hour's worth of minutes. They're able to convert that to 4 hours and 55 minutes and then be able to work out that, so they also, even though they didn't show it, they obviously worked out that 6 hours was 360 minutes and use that to do some subtracting from 6 hours, or they might have added up from 4 hours and 55 minutes to work out that they had to walk it for 1 hour and 5 minutes on Sunday, which is the same as 65 minutes. Okay, so great job by this person being really precise, making sure everything was right along the way, and for showing their thinking really clearly. Okay, so hopefully you guys got some ideas about how you could go about this and perhaps even a more efficient method. If your way worked, great. Okay, but always be on the lookout for a more efficient way to do it. Great job, everyone. On to today's problem. Okay, so today's task. Okay, since we've been working lots on telling the time, recording the time, and making sure we've got being able to draw a clock properly and tell the time, adding up different periods of time, you guys are going to create a timetable for a day of remote learning from wake up to bedtime. So think of all the things you need to include, like meals and break times, exercise, enough time to complete the work for each of your subjects, one guided reading for 30 minutes, and one class meeting for 45 minutes. Now, I know you don't all do guided reading on the one day, and we don't have a class meeting every day, but we're going to pretend for purposes of this activity that for this day that you're creating a timetable for, you will have guided reading or a video chat, and you will have a class meeting for 45 minutes. Okay? You also need to think of everything that you do, down to getting dressed, brushing teeth, all of the different things like that you do during a day, and any responsibilities that you might have to do, like if there's a certain time every day, or just an expectation every day that you wash the dishes, you clean your room, any other chores that you might have around the house, like feed the dogs or cats. You probably have to do that at around a certain time every day. All right, so we're going to leave this up to you as to what it looks like. Okay, whether you do like a timeline. Okay, so remember, a timeline could look something along like that, with a mark for each period, the time down the bottom, and the activity that you do at the top. Okay, it could look something like that. It could look like some kind of table with the time, the activity, the duration of the activity. Okay, so there's a couple of different ways that you could set it out. So we're nearly at the end of term, which means we're nearly at the end of time activities. Make sure you put lots of effort into your time activities so that you show Miss Molly, Miss Kelly and I all of the things that you can do related to time. Okay, if you ever think of some of the things that were in your time tests earlier in the week, okay, we're hoping to see some of those things that were part of your assessments. Okay, there is an extra challenge to this activity. It is entirely optional. Okay, you don't have to do this part. You can just use our normal AM and PM of writing time. But an extra challenge for you, okay, if you want to have a go at this, is to use 24-hour time instead of AM and PM time to show the time that you do each of the activities. Okay. If you don't know 24-hour time and you don't feel like you could have a go at this at all, then it's okay. You don't have to. It is purely optional. Okay, if you know a little bit about 24-hour time, okay, but you're not very confident, give it a few minutes of having a go with 24-hour time. And if you don't have any idea, that's okay. Use AM and PM. Okay, you could use AM and PM and then try and match it to the 24-hour time. Okay, if you're pretty confident with 24-hour time, and like on your assessments last week, the 24-hour time questions you felt like you handled pretty well, then we'd be expecting you to have a go using 24-hour time. Okay, remember, optional. Okay, I hope you guys got some ideas about yesterday's activities and saw a couple of different ways of how to go about them, and made sure you got the right answers as well. Have a great day. There'll be no video tomorrow because tomorrow you're on essential assessments. Okay, doing your My Numeracy activities as it's your specialist days. So I'll be back with you on Friday with an example of how you might have set this out. Okay, and Friday's maths activity. Okay, have a great day. Cheerio.